being here. With an opening statement, then we'll take questions. Coach?
Yeah, thank you guys for coming out. Obviously, disappointing afternoon for us. Was really proud of our guys' fight. It's been a tough couple days. We've had a lot of sickness infiltrate our locker room, and that's not an excuse, but it really affected kind of our ability on the heels of Wisconsin to do too much. But I appreciate the guys for going out there and gutting it out with that kind of effort today. And that's part of the season. It is injuries, sickness, all that. It's part, and it's a next man up mentality, and you gotta try to figure things out. And obviously, we know exactly, what we have to figure out. We're really struggling on the defensive end of the floor, keeping the ball out of the paint, whether it be the drive, whether it be the post up, whether it be ball screen actions. We're just having a hard time right now, and we need to get a reset. And we've had a tough stretch, and one of the things about this tough stretch, we've played 6 high majors in a row, 5 on the road. When you go through that early in the season, you get exposed for your good and you get exposed for your bad, and it's very clear what we need to do. I think anybody watching that game, we gave up 62 points in the paint, which makes it very difficult to win. Our offense is good enough. Now, can we get more contributions and all that? We're scoring over 80 a game, guys. So, you can complain about scheme and who's getting shots, and we scored 82 points. So it's not offense. We have to stop people. We have to be more disciplined on that end. We have to finish possessions. We got to keep people out of the paint. And right now we're just not doing that. And that's we'll get this important week coming up, really important week. I just told our team this is a very important week for our team. Okay, we are what we are. We're 5-4. We've lost a couple Big Ten games. You play 20 of these things. I'm pretty sure we've lost 2 in a row before and still have good seasons. So we're going to be judged by what we do over 20 games in this league, and we have an opportunity over the next couple weeks to play 4 more non-conference games to kind of put that part of the schedule and hopefully finish strong with that. We have final exams coming up. We are still one of the few schools where guys actually have to go to classes and do work. And so our guys are going to be doing some of that this week with papers and with exams. But we're also going to get on the practice floor, and we're going to kind of reset this thing defensively. We gotta get back to the basics. And for that, I take full responsibility. And our staff does. And we just haven't had a lot of time to really fix it, guys. This has been a lot of travel, a lot of games, and that's what sucks sometimes. And it can work to your advantage when you're playing well, because you're just kind of rolling with it, right? You're playing well, you're in a groove, and when you're struggling, it can hurt you because you don't really have a chance to really dive in. But now we do. And that's what we're going to do. There's no doubt in my mind. We got guys in a lot. They want to win. They want to do right. Attitudes are good. My staff and I have to continue to help these guys. But we got a big week ahead of us on the practice floor, especially on the defensive end of the floor, because we're not going to be the team we need to be if we're consistently giving up 80, 85, 86 points. We're a good offensive team, but no one is good enough in this league to be able to do that. So that's what we plan to do, and that's what we're going to do starting this week.
Coach, Brandon Knoll played 9 minutes against Pitt. He came out 35 minutes, 29 points.
Yeah.
Were you at all surprised with his involvement, and what challenges did he pose for you?
Yeah, well, they changed his role a little bit. He hadn't really been playing much center, and they'd been playing. They have a 7-2 kid off the bench. They've been playing Tilly, who's been playing terrific, and then the big kid off the bench. He's been playing. Noel's been playing more of kind of like a wing forward, because with Royal, Royal's such a good player in the post. And so now, I think Jake and his staff has done a good job. He's a big, strong guy, kind of identifying, putting him at that 5 spot. And he was playing in the 5 outs. And, he was the recipient. And this is he was terrific. But a lot of his buckets were on breakdowns by Bruce and by Cups and by Royal and by all these guys being able to live in our paint which then causes help. And he did a great job of getting to the open areas and cleaning it up with layups and tip-ins and offensive rebound. He was terrific. I told our guys he hasn't been a big part of what they're doing, and he really responded in their first conference game, and you got to give him a lot of credit. And he's been a really good player. He was a terrific player at Wright State. So, I think they kind of found something with how to use him, which really unlocked him.
Coach, seems like a lot of, at least some of the early buckets for Noah came on switches on some of your smaller guards. With Trey, seemed like there was an illness or effect there. Started a smaller backcourt with Jaden and Jordan, where he's 5'10" and 6'2", and they're getting in switches and post-up situations. How do you adjust your defense?
We got to take a look at all of it. Honestly, I got to look at it. I thought a lot of their stuff was off the penetration versus, they maybe got two. They maybe got two throw over the tops layups, maybe three. That's not 62 points. So a lot of it was dribble penetration. It was not keeping the ball in front, not keeping Thornton out of the paint, not keeping Mobley out of the paint, not keeping Royal out of the paint. And so, we're going to look at everything, though. We're going to look at everything. We're not selling out any of our players. We went with the guys today that we felt were going to give us the best chance to win. That's how I coach. I'm trying to win. I like everybody on my team. But, we're going to take a look at everything. When you're struggling like this, you got to take a look at all adjustments. And, I'm not so sure the switches is why we lost, but if that's what you saw, then we'll continue to look at all of it.
As a follow-up on the penetration, if you see that as more of the bigger role there, how do you evaluate Jaden defensively as a transfer? His last 3 games, he hasn't recorded a steal, seems to be struggling a little offensively. How do you evaluate his stretch here?
Yeah, he's, we want him to play better, and we got to help him play better. So, but defense is 5 guys. And sometimes you get a little fault when you play teams now of Big Ten quality. You're not just going to steal the ball, from Bruce Thornton. He's a pretty good player. You're not just going to take the ball from him. So you gotta be solid. You got to keep him out of the paint. You got to be active. I got to coach better. Guys got to play better. Collectively, we got to be better. Like I said, when you play this schedule and you play all these high major teams and all good teams, Oklahoma State is undefeated. Virginia went to Texas, won by 20, beat Dayton handily today. Like, we're playing good teams. At Wisconsin, Kohl Center's a tough place to play. So it's not like we have 4 losses. I think 3 of them might be 5 points or less. Other than getting whooped at Wisconsin, we're right there. So, I know there's going to be a doomsday. That's what you guys have to do. I know this is a doomsday world. And, I told the guys that very same thing. I said, I'm going to watch into the media and everybody's going to jump off the boat. And we got to stay in the boat and we got to rally around each other. We got to get on the practice floor and believe in each other and believe in what we're trying to do and figure out a way to win. And then, when you win a couple games, it's going to be how good you are. That's the nature of what you guys do. I get it. And what I try to do is stay even keeled. We've played 9 games. We're 5-4. All right. Would I have liked to be 7-2, 8-1? Absolutely. There's a lot of basketball. There's 18 league games left. There's 4 more non-conference games. December is a real opportunity to get better. We've played a lot of games. We have a week off for finals. We have a week off for Christmas. There's not a lot of games this month. And to your point, we can help all these guys get better. With Jaden, we got to help him play better. Obviously it's a crucial position in this league. And we got to help him defensively, offensively, because he's a talented player and a player that I believe can really help us win. And he's going to, and we'll do a good job helping him.
When we asked Coach Steeler about this, and even go back to Chris Holtman at the call too, they mentioned kind of taking advantage of getting you guys in rotations and that kind of stuff too. Fundamentally, where can you start to improve in that kind of stuff? Is it fundamentals or is it just personnel?
Yeah, we have to keep the ball in front of us. Rotations occur when you get broken down. So, it's that's how it is. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think we'd beaten them 3 times in a row. So it's not like they've been kicking our ass with it. Right? So they beat us today. Rotations occur when you can't keep the ball in front of you. And so they did a really good job scheming, and give them a lot of credit. They spread the floor and they drove us, and it forced us to help, which gave guys the opportunity, and we got to get better. They scored 86 today. I think last year when we played them, they were in the 40s. So, it's basketball, and right now we're struggling, and we got to fix it. But they did a really good job. They're a good team. They have a lot of good players. Bruce Thornton is terrific. Jake's doing a great job coaching his team. And, this was a tough game. We knew that. They also, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they played midweek. So I think their last game was at Pittsburgh about 8 or 9 days ago. So we had a team that was really ready to play. They focused on us, so sometimes it's about when you play a team too. And that's part of it. But yes, we got to keep the ball in front of us. That to answer your question, that's the main thing. We got to keep the ball in front of us, because then you don't have to rotate as much.
Time for a few more questions, Jake.
Coach, what have you just seen from a leadership standpoint in these past few games, and how much will you lean on those guys as you enter this sort of recalibration period?
Yeah, no, got to lean on the vets huge. We got a lot of guys who this program means a lot to them. The guys that have worn this jersey, and that's no knock on new guys. They're just new. You gain an affinity for the jersey and the program and what it's about by the longer you're in it, right? So guys like obviously Nick Martinelli, Jordan Clayton, Angelo and KJ now, Justin Mullins, even guy like Blake Smith, who's been out with an injury, but his how he feels about this program and his voice in this program. I mean, they have to carry the day, and then the new guys got to kind of follow in with that. And look, everybody, we're not going to splinter. We're not going to fragment. That's what happens a lot with teams, and then things go from struggling to then really struggling. And I'm not going to let that happen. Now, whether we become a great team or whatever, I understand what we have to try to do. We gotta reset this thing on the defensive end of the floor and figure things out and have a really good week of practice. And the only thing we control is getting ourselves in a position to come back next weekend and play really well and get some momentum in a positive direction. Anytime you lose, too, guys, you lose a little confidence. It's like any. I mean, you lose some games, like you get shaken a little bit, and so I got to also keep these guys' confidence up. We're a good team, man. We just put 82 up on a really good team. We put up 75 on Wisconsin, a really good team. We put up we're doing some good things. The first half of Wisconsin, not so good. We got our butts whooped, every which way we could, and that was a learning experience for us. So this is going to be a big stretch. And, I'm not going to jump off the deep end, but that being said, there is going to be a real sense of urgency, and we got to get things right and really go into the holidays and try to get some positive momentum, as we get back into conference play in January.
More questions, Paul?
You're right. It wasn't the 40s. It was 49 was the last time gave up. But my question is about offense.
What's that?
Last year's team, you defined them as a mid-range team, and with all the new pieces and stuff, would you say that this team, that is their identity?
I think right now you see our main strength is our two low post players. I mean, AP and Nick, and kind of base playing off of those guys. And you saw today, I mean, they double teamed those guys, both of those guys, every time they caught it. And Nick still got 32, and AP got 13, 9, and 5. So I mean, to me, that's the strength of our team offensively. And both those guys, I mean, AP is a really good passer. Nick's getting better. The more he's seeing some of these coverages, he had a couple costly turnovers, but I think playing off of those two guys has been a really good thing for us offensively. And then we shot it, we made 8 threes. The last two games, I think we were 4 for 19 and maybe 3 for 18 or something. I think we were like 7 for 38 from 3 the last 2 games. Today, it was good to see KJ make a couple. Jordan Clayton made a couple. Obviously, Nick's been shooting the ball really well. But, the foundation of what we do is based on what Nick and AP do. And then we got to get these other guys to play off of that. And, just like when you look at Ohio State, it's Thornton, right? Everything they do is based on Thornton. And then those guys play. Royal has his package of stuff he does. And Noel just did an amazing job playing off those guys, and he got almost 30 points. So I got to help those up, whether it's Angelo, who's done, whether it's Jordan Clayton, whether it's all these bench guys. We got to help them as we continue to play offense, because teams are going to scheme up. Like when your two big guys score almost 50 points, they're going to try to get the ball out of their hands. So we got to continue to do a good job against double teams and swinging the ball and getting it to the second side. But really, guys, offensively is not the problem. I mean, you can always I don't like 14 turnovers. But if you would have told me today I was going to get 44 in the first half and 82 for the game and shoot almost 50% from the field and make 8 threes and get to the line almost 20 times, I would have been pretty pleased with that offensive performance. It is 100% our defense and finishing possessions and being able to have a little bit of we're not giving up a lot of resistance on that end of the floor. We're not making teams go to their plan B, plan C. We're getting beat with their KO punches, and that's what we got to do a better job of, and we are. Like I can't wait to get to practice. These guys need a day off. We got a bunch of guys that have been in bed and winter colds and all. I mean, it's part of life. It is what it is, and it's definitely not an excuse, because I'm sure they have the same. But we got to get healthy, and then we got to get to practice, and we got to really. It can't just be get to practice to get to practice. It's got to be a real sense of purpose on, and to your point, make some adjustments if need be. Talk about some things that are really hurting us on that end, and maybe try some different things with our switching, with our schemes. Like, everything's on the table. When you give up 80 plus 5 games in a row, you got to evaluate what you're doing, and we plan to do that. I've always done that. I mean, I ever since I've been here, we always adjust what we're doing based upon our team and try to find a way. I mean, there are years where we went to matchup zones and things like that, and and all those things could be on the table. And we'll get with our staff, and we'll figure it out. We got good guys in that locker room. They want to win. We got a lot of character. We got guys who want to do right. And as the leader, with our staff, I got to lead positively and get these guys moving in the right direction. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Yeah, Nick and Angelo here today. We're doing any questions for these two. You are?
Nick, we saw some emotions pouring out for you after the end of the game. What are you thinking right now, dropping to 0-2 in the Big Ten?
I mean, I'm sick of losing. Yeah, I mean, that's just not what this program's about, and that's just not who we are. We have coaches and players in that locker room that are winners, and we just obviously coming off last year, we had an excuse. We were always looking Brooks and Jalen, and we're fighting. We don't have anything to say for ourselves this year. We take all account. Coach came in here and took accountability for the defense. It's the players. It's not coach. I've been on teams that have played unbelievable defense. It's not coach at all. It's me, Jello, and the rest of the guys in white. I just think it's just tragic, the amount of talent that we have. And it hurts, man. It hurts. It's my senior year, and this isn't about me at all, but I have, such an urgency right now, and we just have to fix it and just listen and do the things that we're told, like the other guys that I played with in the past. We did absolutely everything we were told, and that's why we won. So, yeah.
So back.
For either of you guys, Coach and yourselves, talk about the defense and where it's lacking. Kind of how would you evaluate? Where do you guys think kind of the biggest priority needs to be in this week that Coach said is kind of a chiller one for you guys?
Like, going into every game, like, we have a game plan, we go over it, and like, come game time, like like, sometimes, like, we just don't like really 100% buy into what our coaches need from us and what they want from us. So I think it's kind of just a buy-in of everyone just doing what we're told and not making any mistakes and trying their hardest out there. So I think that's fully on us just to execute what our coaches are telling us. They're giving us the answers to the test every single game, as they say. And, like we just have to go out there and just execute and listen to exactly what they say every single game.
Angelo, Ohio State wins a challenge pretty late on where you took some contact, but the ball went off after you. Curious more generally, what do you think of a challenge system where the refs aren't allowed to look for a potential foul?
I mean, I don't really know enough about that to even speak on it, but I should have protected the ball a little more and prevented that from even being a challenge or a call. So I would say that's on me.
Any more questions, Jake?
Yeah, because you enter this phase where you guys are sort of looking to recalibrate, and you're one of the leaders of this group. How are you leaning upon the lessons of some of the guys you played with here before as you sort of look to be that commanding voice and bring this team back to the standard that you know it should live up to?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, as mad as we are right now, I think we need to step back and just talk about how grateful we are for these moments, the moments where you've lost a couple games in a row, and you're just so grateful for it because you don't get any glory from just constantly winning in life, whatever it is. Like you get glory from, just getting your face shoved in the mud and you getting up and pushing. And that's the message that I need for these guys to understand. Like, we have to come together and get out of the mud together, and that, like, my freshman year, got dominated by Pitt, Ohio State, man. Those are games that I remember, and those practices following those are practices that I remember. Obviously the Purdue's and the Indianas that year were a blast to be a part of, but when you look back on that, all the glory comes from you just being rubbed in the mud and getting out of it. So that's like, we're so grateful to be here. We're basketball players. We get to do what we love every day. It's not, I'm mad about, basketball, things that are going on with Northwestern, but I'm not mad at my life. We have a great life. Every single person in that locker room does. And we have an opportunity every single day when we step on the court, an opportunity that not a lot of people have to go win a Big Ten championship. And that's still a dream. Like, we have lost 2 games in the Big Ten. The season's not over. I'm just grateful that we have an opportunity to come this week. We have 4 days of practice to get ready for this game. And we're going to get after it. I mean, us two will. I know every single person's going to get after it. But it's just really continuing to buy in. If people want to buy in, I promise you we can win games.
Nick, this is the 3rd straight game that the team's allowed 80-plus points. And just kind of honestly, it feels like the message sometimes from you and Coach after these games has been a little similar about, you want to see increased effort. You want to see stuff in practice. Is this about, maybe just not having as many of those practice reps yet? Or what do you kind of feel is going to shift?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what our defense was at the start of last year and the end of last year, it's completely different. We were, guarding our butts off at the end of last year, and it was partially urgency, and it was partially just us, starting to understand what our defensive tendencies are and helping each other out. So, yeah, I definitely think it needs a little bit of time. But at the same time, I mean, we can't be letting up 80. If you really want it, you can't be letting up 80 points a game. It's super hard when you have that much talent, when you have guys that want to prove themselves, and the message for those guys is just to come into the game and affect winning. When I was a freshman, I was so jolly to get out there and just even be out there and do anything, set a screen. So, like, that's just the mentality you have to have, is winning is so, that feeling that, obviously we've been missing that these last 2 seasons, and everyone, is hurting, but we just have to worry about winning, like only worry about winning. And what the one thing that's keeping us from winning right now is defense. So we need to be completely locked in on defense. Hopefully, we get after it this week on the defensive end.
Any more questions? I'll wrap us up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.